he was the guru of nuclear fallout, and the building nuclear. They're like, oh, you want an arms race, United States? Oh, try us. He had a 100 megaton bomb built. He actually got a conscience, was afraid of the bomb, so he dropped it to 50 megaton. It was let off in July of 1961. We recorded it as a meteor striking the Earth here. That's what we really thought. We thought it here. It started, the reports started coming out, the cesium-134, cesium-130, Santrum, and plutonium was showing up all over Scandinavia. It was the Swedish scientists that exposed this monster. They're like, oh my God, in the United States, well, oh my God, and they are. So the bomb detonating in the Nevada test went on Balco, everywhere, over and over. Well, as soon as he let it off, he realized the madness that he'd done. He's even worse than Oppenheimer. He won a Nobel Peace Prize, I believe in 71 or 74, anti-nuclear. Albert Einstein, at the end of his life, you can look it up, it's on YouTube, Princeton's released it. Mr. Einstein, do you have any regrets? Oh yeah, one. What's your regret? Signed off on the Manhattan Project. Robert Oppenheimer, as soon as he has, now I am become death, destroyers of war. That's Robert Oppenheimer's, as he gave the orders when little boy was dropped. As soon as it was out, he realized he was sick, and he turned anti-nuke. These are the smartest men of our time. Einstein, Oppenheimer, Sober, all three of them, hardcore. They said, all of them said, that this will cause gene mutations, this will cause cancer, and 2-3 generations that we will pay. Einstein himself says, science will never catch up with the waste. Never. Never. So I tell all these nukers, I'm like, you're really smarter than Einstein, Sokolov? You really think you're smarter than them? You're not. You're not. They were right. They said this was going to happen. Cancer rates are directly 100% correlated with nuclear fallout. Nuclear fallout is cumulative. Every single person here has a Nevada test site in their body. Every person has Chernobyl in their body via the jet stream. Every person has Fukushima. But I was asked this before Fukushima, Kevin, where is the safest place in North America to probably live as far as nuclear fallout? And I said, that's easy, either the Northwest or California, for one simple reason. The United States government would always wait until the wind was blowing out when they did the 300 open air tests in Nevada. So the contamination always went that way. Well, there's not much real estate to the left, which is here. Well, that's all over now. It is not safe. My estimations now, and this is not just me hypothesizing, this is Geiger counter freelancers out there in Oregon. Oregon is lit up like a Christmas tree, Fukushima. Oregon took a huge blow from Fukushima just in the blow. Well, it's in the water. To think that they dumped for 731 days, and anyone who has any kind of logic in their brain can possibly think, okay, 300 marine biology departments in the United States, all federally and state funded and private ones. How many of you have seen one single report come from 700, yay or nay? It's total. I'm a stats professor. You ran that through your NSET on regression, it would be hundreds of trillions to one. It's an impossible equation. So how can that be? How can that be? Easy. The nuclear industry, really, you think the bankers got control? GE, Westinghouse, CNN, Fox, this is social engineering. They have their tentacles everywhere, this industry. It is literally the greatest cash cow. It is not clean. It is not clean. Number one, you have to mine uranium. Very dirty process. Its carbon footprint is way grosser than coal ever. And if I hear one more environmentalist tell me, oh, clean coal is an oxymoron, it makes me sick. No. Look what Germany's done with their coal. Look what Germany was completely, had the most modern nuclear plants in the world under construction. Germany's done. They've taken them offline. There's only 9 left to go. How did Germany do it? I'll tell you how they did it. They did it through their religious leaders. And tell Occupy, tell social media, they need to understand, it's simply post-ignorance. They need to understand 2 things. 2 things. One, usury. Until this country wakes up and realizes what usury is and how Oregon and Utah, both the last 2 states to get rid of usury laws. Until we understand usury and we understand tariffs and blocking people are going to do things because they can. We have been so tricked by this nuclear thesis. This thing, it's not cheap energy. By law, they're so powerful that the taxpayer builds them. It's not cheap energy. By law, They have to buy every single watt of energy they buy at inflated prices, grotesque. And it's not, if the free market was to set, I love this sign over here. It says it perfectly. How much money goes to the nuclear, how much goes to, right, it tells the hotel. It really tells the hotel. Let me grab it. That is a powerful sign. It tells the tale. It's true. It's true. You, as the taxpayers, are building nuclear power. And somehow you've been tricked into thinking on the left that nuclear power is clean, the alternative to clean up the greenhouse. It's totally a lie on every level. It is not clean. One, you have to mine uranium. Two, you have to enrich the uranium. Where do we enrich the uranium? In the plant in Kentucky. That is the filthiest, most disgusting freaking thing. It puts more toxin into the atmosphere than every coal plant combined, times 10. We have the ability to clean up coal. Germany's done it. You look at the new coal-fired plants in Germany that over the last 10 years, they recycle the exhaust back through over and over. They took 99%. Germany, it was finally religious leaders over there. It was finally through the Catholic Church because they understood usury. It was through Christianity, excuse me, not the Catholic, Christianity over there. I don't know if it was the Lutherans or what. It was the women. It was the women. They started fight under the mantra of usury, under Mother Earth, loving Mother Earth. So they organized, well, when they were bringing in the uranium, most of it's mined, a lot of it's mined here in the United States, a lot of it's mined in Australia. When they started bringing it in, they would find out when it was, and these old women would go and lay their bodies down on the railroad tracks. Say, kill us, go for it, call our bluff. And they said, we will, we'll mow you down. They didn't buck down, they didn't back down. And they laid on the railroad tracks, and it started to get traction over there. And their Green Party over there started to get political traction. They really did get political traction. And overnight, the IEA said, and I was involved with the economic studies on what this would cost. The IEA says, oh, it'll cost $2 billion to decommission a plant. That is the biggest lie of their many, many lies. Germany did it. How much was it costing to decommission a plant over there? Less than $10 million a plant, when they're telling them $2 billion. They're done. They're done. They've modernized their coal plants, and they've took off with solar. We're not having these arguments in 1971. We're having these arguments in 2013. The downfall on solar forever and ever and ever. Solar is the answer. Solar, solar, solar. The sun is the answer. Everybody says we need to build the grid. The grid exists. We have the grid. We are on a grid now. Remember when we had the rolling blackouts via Enron in California? We have a grid. The grid exists. The downside on solar was that when the sun's out, yeah, it'll gather the energy, but it can't store it when the sun goes down, or you go into a long, organites and all this, you get cloudy for weeks at a time, it'll lose all. That technology was overcome many years ago. And it's cheap. The technology that exists in solar today, which Germany is using rapidly, and we're building them here in the United States right now. We're so behind the curve, it's German companies that are building them in Utah and New Mexico in the desert. They have the ability to store the energy, even if the sun doesn't shine on it, for months. So that's the grotesque thing about this. This is 2013. We have the technology. These guys are just, you think the banksters had a network of criminality and own the politicians and all that. This is on Balco. This dwarfs the bank thing. And so how are we going to change it? And what do we do? That's why this needs to be in Eugene, Oregon. I thought about this so much. And Eugene, Oregon, just number one, the geography. You're straight across from Fukushima. You were right there. You're in the direct firing line. One. Eugene is the organic food. You guys get it. You guys really do get it. The people of Oregon do more consciously than anywhere. And I travel all over. You guys are so juicing. And I'm working with world-class dietitians to stay alive. I have defied the odds. I'm telling you, I have this wolf right here next to my back. This 65% of people that are in the status like I am, it fires right back on you. And when it fires back on you, it's not good. It takes you, I'm in really intense care. Two of my really close friends, one girl named Carla, 33 years old, incredible condition, had a de novo, went in for her mammogram, it was a lump, and had a brilliant oncologist who figured out that it wasn't just a normal lump. And she passed away February 25th. My close friend Paul, who got sick the same time we grew up together, he passed away the same day. We've been fighting this together. They both did everything right. They ate right, they exercised right, they had beautiful minds, they didn't smoke, they did everything right. That's the whole horrific nightmare of this thing. But there are things that you can do. The genie's out of the bottle. We cannot put this nuclear fallout. And I hear people all the time, oh, we're repressing the technology to clean up nuclear fallout. There is no technology to clean out nuclear fallout. There will never be any technology. As Einstein said, there will never be any to clean it up, ever. So what do? I've learned. Live like you have cancer before you get cancer. If you're exercising outside, and we found out in our hospital, the man who won the Ironman 3 years ago died in there while I was in there. Nancy, who's in there, world-class triathlete, she's dying right now. We know a lot of very conditioned athletes are dying of this. My theory is a lot of them have transformed to Moab, Utah, but if you're outside training and you're walking and you're running in Oregon, and you're breathing deep in there, wear a mask on. Do not eat fish out of the Pacific right now, at least until we can get some data out there. I mean, logic tells us that 700 days. You know, I tell everybody, oh, what, fish don't swim, ocean currents don't move? Come on, please. To think 300 marine biology departments and 731 days and not a please. I have whistleblowers who have sent me preliminary data from Berkeley. I'm very tight with the Berkeley Marine Biology Department. I have whistleblowers, I've got them in hand. I've looked at them. I'm not going to release these until they're, I want him. Oh, trust me, I want him. And there's a lot of pressure on people because people know. In the early days, I scrammed Rant and Raven, and a lot of people that are in the know, I have lots of whistleblowers. I think to tell the tale of how this was covered up is very simple. I don't know if any of you ever watched Sanjay Gupta, MD. It's a show that's on Saturdays. This is a man who was nominated to be the Surgeon General. This is a man who took the Hippocratic Oath. This is a man who's a neurosurgeon. His show is very credible. I used to watch it. I used to have a lot of credibility with that guy. I used to love it. When they came back on March 26th, 2 weeks after Fukushima, that morning I'm watching. He has a Japanese doctor. He taped it over there. And this Japanese says, yeah, I went through Hiroshima, watched some of my friends die of leukemia, and I always thought radiation was bad, but then I learned radiation saves people's lives. And radiation's good. I'm like, what is he doing? What is he doing? Then the next guy, he puts on this photographer. Oh, I was laying in my bed in 1986. I was a young guy, and I was sick. I had mono. And so I always thought, Chernobyl, I want to go there. So I went over there. When I went over there, I found out that there's nothing bad there. Oh, it's already cleaned up. And he puts up people fishing in Chernobyl. It was total. Orwell would come back, and Orwell himself would be dumbfounded. You could see exactly what was going on. So I went crazy. Did a YouTube video the next day. I said, are you kidding me? Went crazy. All CNN stuff's all over YouTube. They took it down. They took the transcript there. So I put out calls to my YouTube site. I have a small army. I really do have a small army out there because I've been so accurate in detail. Me and Jan, Miss Milky Planet, are very good friends. We built this giant network through these YouTube cameras. I put out a call. Please, somebody find it. Please, somebody find it. Please, somebody find it. Oh, here comes a CNN whistleblower to me. Here, Kev. You're right. It makes me sick. I have lots of whistleblowers from the corporate media. So I have it. So I posted it on my website. I did videos. I read it online. It's grotesque. It just shows you. I call it black and yellow journalism. I've termed that term, as I've termed science fiction economics, as I've termed on Balco. I have all these one-liners. Post-ignorance. Black and yellow journalism. It's not yellow journalism. It's the failure to report nuclear nightmare. I've termed black. Not only they did not report it, a man who took the Hippocratic Oath, not doing it. It's grotesque. It's grotesque. But if anybody should know this, people in Oregon and people in Washington and people in Vancouver should know this. You guys took the bullet. This will kill many, many more people here than it will ever kill in Japan. Yeah, Japan took a hit, and the children are showing up with thyroid problems. And people need to know too, in Japan, all kinds of laws. I have whistleblowers in Japan, people that I went to college with that are very powerful, hierarchical people. They fled. And I get reports. There's all kinds of laws. People don't realize how many people know that they have had protest after protest in Japan where literally millions of people show up. Millions. Have you seen any on the media? I mean millions. Some of the biggest protests in world history are going on in Japan constantly. We don't see any of it. We get pictures out of Buddha. They're arresting people for getting anything out of Japan now. That's the power the IAEA has in Japan. That's the power that they have. And so I will conclude this lecture of mine by saying this. Live like you have cancer before you have cancer. Enlighten yourself. Be happy. Don't be ignorant. Be post-ignorant. Understand this. And when you get sick, if you get sick, my uncle said this many years ago, that he hypothesized, he's dead and gone now, he's a brilliant genius, 4,000 people a day die in this country from misdiagnosis. My doctor in there says himself, Kevin, we are seeing new forms of radical cancer show up left and right. You have to be, they're advertising, our hospital has an advertisement that they play all over our media now and says, use the internet to research your cancer. Use your art to take your mind off it. Use your anger, but you have to get angry. If we're not able, we have to do the poetry of anger, as I call it. You cannot use anger unless you know your subject matter, know what usury is, know what tariffs are, know what this smashing of 30 years, real wages have dropped 37 consecutive years in this country for a very good reason. Understand, know your subject matter. Know your subject matter about cancer. You know, read American Ground Zero. Read Under the Cloud. Read John Goff's work from Berkeley, Poison Power. Read all these studies that have come out of Chernobyl. And don't, throw your TV out the freaking window. It's sickening. So I'll open it up for questions now. I'm so glad all of you guys showed up, and I'm hoping that this can catch fire. It should be in Eugene, because you people in Oregon are amazing. Occupy Oregon was the most powerful movement out of them all. Take this on. We need to take this on through our church leaders. Our church leaders need to step up. Our police departments, as they turned into this military, we need to get to them and make them understand that they are with us. And I think that this is going to change Occupy. I said it like this: Occupy, when it happened, everybody says Occupy is dead. Oh no. Oh no. And I've never been a fan of the word. I argued with them about going to Zuccotti. I wanted to go to DC to organize, and I hated the word. But I've come to like it. I say it like this: Occupy, that was the sex. And it was not sex born in a crack house out of anger. This was sex born out of love. And I was in the hospital for exactly 9 months. And a lot of the byproducts of this are like, they tell you don't eat what you don't like, because it's a lot of symptoms like morning sickness. I used to love spinach. I can't even look at it now. But I believe that Occupy changed the conversation in this country. I really believe. I think it's very similar to the movement, the progressive movement in 1900. That movement took 30 years. From the assassination of McKinley to the Shirtwaist Fire to, Boom Moose 2.0, I call it, whatever. I believe this is just a gestation period, and that baby has been born. And I think Occupy, whether it's in the name of Occupy, I think a social movement is going to rise up. I call it post-ignorance. I really believe one is going to, and it's going to be Fukushima, it's going to be the environment, and I think it should be right here in Oregon. I think it should be here just because of the geographics, because you people have the strong Occupy. There are more people that care here than anywhere, even if it didn't. And the geography. You're on the direct firing line. This is going to kill many, many millions of people. Diagnose yourself. Understand. Have conversations. Don't get one opinion. Get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When you get sick. And do not let them open you. Do not have surgery unless, of course, there's things that cancer that you have to have. But last cause. Both my friends that died after they both had the surgery. I didn't. I don't know that that's why I'm alive, but my doctor says, these tumors and these evil cancers, like the worst thing you can do is open the body, because they'll see. Now, there's certain cancers, obviously, you have to be cut out. So I'll open up for questions now. By the way, this painting is an artist named Thomas Ackerman in Oregon, and in Toronto, and I've asked him, and he calls it Fukushima. Shiva, you know what Shiva is through. And that's what it is, and so I love it. I really love the painting, because it really is the catastrophe that this is going to bring us all together. I really believe that it is. The nuclear lies and the contamination, I really think it's going to bring us all together.
Okay. Yeah, I read they had underreported stories of censored stories in the weekly, just for 2012, and one of them was an amount of deaths. I can't remember the exact amount, but it was like 20,000 deaths that were above what would normally infant mortality would be for the United States, and that was the first thing that kind of, gave me alarm. Another site I see is actually I get a newspaper called Comic News, and they have a thing in there about the weather patterns. And so I've read a lot about what's happening in Fukushima. And one thing I want to say to folks is, you know, that every year the UAB has an Earth Day celebration, and they're getting 7% of their power from Hanford. And also, they've got a big biomass generator out in West Eugene that's all polluting us. When everybody else gets to have their has to shut down their fireplaces, these guys get us to keep going, and they're chopping down our forests and polluting us. So, and they have this thing called green power. We should go down there and protest their ass and tell them it's green powered bullshit. Anyway, that's my point.
And I think that's a very good point that he brings up, these early studies that are already coming out. The early studies they're showing already are showing radical increases in leukemia and child mortality rates in Washington. Now, I don't know about Oregon, I haven't seen it, but I've seen some out of California that are showing increases already. So it's going to be interesting to see if the medical industry can get a handle on this, but I got a hunch it's going to be freelance doctors who come forward with their own personal, just like it's been grassrooters who've had to report this, and grassrooters with their Geiger counters.
Hey, then come on over this way. Come on over. Well, speak here so it's not so.
Oh, my name is Madeline Smith. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And I have a book, Nuclear Roulette,
Very good.
and I have the data that I got from the ELAW conference, in which there's one group that says that 31 reactors in the United States are made with the exact same design as the Fukushima one.
General Electric Mark I.
Mark I. And there's enough data from, what is it, Northwest.
NEIS?
No. Heart of
America Northwest.
Part of America Northwest. And you've been, I'm glad you want to wake us up, but I have a thing that somehow we have to talk with each other. We have to relate to each other in such a way that we develop trust for each other. Because until we have that kind of trust, I don't want to criticize you but I have to.
I can take it, trust me.
What happens for me, if you use too much scare tactic, and I think you're incredible to go through all that you've gone through, and I understand the point of sharing it, but the problem is, how do we digest all of what you've said, and then have the kind of dialogue with each other where we figure out something that brings us together enough so that I hate to talk about groups, because groups have a way of not talking past each other rather than with each other. So the only thing I can say is if there's one person in the room that you really trust, have a dialogue, and the two of you figure out something that you want to commit to, that you can commit to right now. And I don't know what the larger form is, but I know until we start this one-on-one dialogue with each other, and then one-on-one with another person dialogue, we don't develop what we need to develop. If you watched Occupy, as I did, it was very big at first, but it was so group-oriented that people were talking past each other and people were dropping out. And I think they were dropping out exactly for the reason I'm talking about. No one developed a real friendship with somebody where they gave each other strength. And we have to discover how to do that. I don't know if I'm making sense to anybody.
Can I answer this?
Sure.
Because this very point is exactly what got me to create this event, actually. That's a really great point that you have. People talk past each other, and they use a group almost as a boundary to exclude. And I agree with you. We do need to find ways to communicate. One of the things that got me really motivated is I heard Carl Grossman, who is a really great resource for everybody here. It's Carl with a K, Grossman.com. He explained in a radio interview, the interviewer was asking, why aren't we hearing about nuclear problems? And he explained in great details the tentacles that General Electric has, Westinghouse has, and all this other stuff. At the end of it, it was about a 45-minute long radio program, and he was answering questions and going into great detail. At the end, the commentator said, so what are we going to do? Like, it's so overwhelming. If any one of us just look at one part of the problem, and we're already contaminated. I mean, our fate has been sealed. It doesn't sound, I mean, I don't want to be the bad news bearer, but it's a done deal. So we got to learn how to cope with it and how to help lift each other up and stay happy. For me, being happy is resistance. That's like my mantra. You know, I refuse to be unhappy. And but he said, what we can do is every person has to do what they think they can do. If that means you talk to your friends and your family, you get educated yourself, you talk to your friends and your family, then that's what you do. If you want to get involved with organizations, then do that. Everybody needs to take the steps to get together, to do what they can do. You know, and...
Let me say something on this line.
Go ahead.
This is my whole post-ignorance, John. I'm a socioeconomist. And I think it is so ignorant and so naive, and I understand your communications about Mark Twain, there is no wrong or right, there's only popular opinion. But to think that you're going to get any kind of change and take on a monster, like they do not play nice, they do not play fair, and to take this on, I say in my class all the time, I have a line, cordial conversations are dangerous. Passionate and intelligent arguments get results. What if they termed us on the left? Oh, them soft, passy, pussy tree huggers, which we've rightfully earned. We've never fought back. We've never fought, oh, I'm a tree hugger, but I'm not soft. But the ways that we've approached this the last 40 years, they're out the window with me as far as I'm in this fight for real. I'm fighting for my life. And I'm not going down that road. I've drawn a line in the sands of time with post-ignorance. I drew a line in the sand. You're either on this side or you're on that side. And I fight fire with fire. And it's the only way we're going to do this. But you have to take it on with knowledge. You have to understand your subject matter. But if you understand your subject matter, they have bullied us into a corner. Every time they've raised their voice to us, we went and hid in the corner and went and had a conversation with our significants and said, oh, man, it won't work. We have to take them on, head on, and bleed this into popular culture in the real. Look, the IEA spent $4 billion over the last 40 years in a media war against us. Go ahead.
She wants you to look towards the camera. Ask your question.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Have you connected to the tribes that surround Hanford? Because there's like 11 tribes that are downwind of Hanford if it had anything like Fukushima. And I was hoping that you would have some kind of connection to Tribal America.
I do. I have a very tight connection with Tribal America. There's one of my very close friends, Niles, who owns Enviro News. He's very connected. And if you want to see our network, go to Enviro News' website. And he works heavily with Tribal America. We have a whole bunch of people. My YouTube site is plumb full of Tribal America that's in there. And we connect on a daily basis. We really do. And you're so right. They are a big part of this movement. And they're a big part of post-ignorance. And they're a big part. I'm in communications with them every single day.
Hey, Rudy, are you going to show the other stuff that you want
I'd
to
love
show?
to.
If you face this way, I can get it on camera.
Oh, yeah. Stand to the mic and tell us what
that would be awesome.
All right. Hi, I'm Louisa Hemachek, and I'm with Nuke Info Northwest, which is a group here in this town. And we research nuclear issues and write about them and make artworks, and I do maps, and I did this map, and I wrote about it on the back of this flyer, and it's of Nuclear Northwest. And what it shows is from around Vancouver Island down to Arcata, California on the coast, and then inland to Idaho.